Okay, let's all do that. Boys? Say it.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, you see. Easy. Okay. Would you like to call the roll, please?
Councilmember Acuna,
Here.
Councilmember Borelli,
Here.
Mayor Clarici,
Here.
Vice Mayor Thomas.
Here.
Councilmember Wilkins is noted as absent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see, announcements, presentations to the public. Any council comments? Mr. Acuna.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I do have one, and it's related to our upcoming 3-day weekend, and it's in regards to a infrequent opportunity to tour the Priest Mine out at Goldbug Park.
Yeah.
This Saturday, May 27th, from 10 to 3:30, the Development Committee is going to have a special tour of the Priest Mine open during those hours. It'll be $4 per person. The Priest Mine is usually closed. It's the mine that's located up above the Goldbug Mine, and it has a very different geology to it. And it does represent a very different type of gold mine, so it is a unique opportunity. I believe last year during these various 3-day weekend tours, a little over 1,200 visitors came through the park. So if you are interested in our Gold Rush history and would like to get a chance to go through the Priest Mine, again, that would be this Saturday from 10 to 3:30.
And the Priest Mine is a really cool tour. So if you haven't seen the Priest Mine, or if you haven't seen it lately, you should go. Okay.
But you have to be in good physical condition.
Because you have to walk up.
Walk
gotta
up
walk
those
up.
steps.
That's
right.
okay. Okay. Patty?
No.
Okay.
Oh, sure. First of all, I'd like to thank our mayor for representing us so well this month. Not only did you look darn good in that red pair of heels that you walked a mile in her shoes on and raised money for the center.
but the
so
picture-
well done.
the
Pictures
picture in the
paper
paper.
was,
Pictures was
was
great.
worthy of yeah, that was quite impressive.
That should be a centerfold.
As well as representing us in the bike month. So you've done a great job out and about in the community.
Well,
and we appreciate
thank you.
that.
Thank you very much.
I'd also like to thank all of our volunteers at Community Pride. I saw them slaving away at the corner of Main Street and Broadway today. They had a crew out there, weeding and working on the hill and the beds, and just reminded me of how much of our city is loved and maintained and cared for by the dedicated group of community members that love our town as much as all of us do. So just a shout out to the Community Pride folks for helping us maintain our city.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I would like to just thank the folks that sponsored me in my walk down Main Street in the red high heels. I think by the time it was all said and done, I raised around $1,200. So that was very exciting for the Center for Violence-Free Relationships. So it's a worthy cause, a worthy time. I was absolutely surprised my feet were not nearly as sore as I thought they would be.
I was just going to ask
Yeah,
you, how did you feel the next
you know what
day?
hurt? My back.
Yes.
My back was sore. So,
Absolutely.
Well, plus we were in the front, and I walked with Brian Veerkamp, and that was a mistake because that guy can set a blistering pace. I was running on my toes to keep up with him. It was a lesson learned.
There was also a fabulous picture of Commander Wren in the paper, and he looked darn good in his red heels too.
he
We
looked-
really appreciate him representing our city.
Quite fetching. And he wore his uniform, which I thought was really cool. Okay, we do have some community meetings that we're going to be doing here, so I'll just run through these real quick. Actually, I'll start with tomorrow since it's the soonest. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. here, we are going to have a budget hearing. Now, I'll tell you right now, there is nothing more exciting than diving into the bowels of our city budget with great detail and gusto. And if you want to know where the money gets spent, and if you have some notions that there's some sort of conspiracies about how we spend our money, you will find out very quickly that it's not nearly as exciting as you might imagine. But it does show, it does give an insight into how we do things in the city and where the money goes. So, yes.
Just a budget workshop, not a hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Budget workshop, not a hearing. That actually happens later. Workshop. Very
Even
good.
more fun.
It's okay, and that starts tomorrow at 5. Next, a week from today, here once again at 6 o'clock, we're going to have our sort of Measure H H/L, but it's Measure L right now. We don't talk about H anymore, although they're kind of combined. We're going to have a community meeting about our proposals for how we're going to spend the money over the next few years. So we'll talk about the revenues we're expecting to get, and then the projects we'd like to do, and kind of walk you through some of that. So that'll be very exciting, because we're talking about spending millions of dollars in our community over the next time for roads, sewer, and water, and everything Measure L was for. And so hopefully you'll be able to come a week from tonight at 6 o'clock, because that'll be a lot of fun.
And also get their input.
Yeah, and you can all weigh in on what our plans are and provide us some insight into what you're thinking.
What's
and
the
then
date on that one?
it's a week from today.
Okay.
So the 30th.
30th, okay.
It's the 5th. It's the 5th Tuesday. And then we have a community cleanup day on June 17th, which is a Saturday. It's at the same time as the fair. Okay, that's all I know.
It is the Saturday
Yes.
of the fair.
Okay, it's the Saturday of the fair. So maybe before you go and have a corn dog and a beer or a soda, you can come and help clean up. So what's the time on that, or is it just any particular
It's
time?
8
This is
to
the-
1:30.
This is the one that we do. It goes till 1 o'clock, right, Steve?
8 to
Oh, so it's in the
1:30
morning.
at the
1.
Mosquito Park and Ride.
Oh, well,
At
that's
the Mosquito
easy
Park
then.
Ride, where
Just
they come and drop things off.
right. So clean up. Bring your trash to the Mosquito Park and Ride. Now, okay, and then go to the fair, and have a corn dog.
Steve, is hospice going to be there again?
Yes, hospice will be there. We'll be
Okay.
taking e-waste and
So if we have something that we feel we can contribute to hospice, we can bring that too, right?
for sure.
Is there a cost for folks to drop off their mountains of trash as they do their spring cleaning?
Nope.
Free.
All free.
Can you?
That's
bring-
quite amazing.
Now
So.
you see
But
this
there's
is.
limitations.
Now you get to watch us think and work. Can you bring oil?
No.
No.
Dang.
No oil. No Freon.
Well, now, okay, thanks. All right, that's it. I'm fine. That's it. I'm done. Anything else? Okay. Closed session report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight, the council met in closed session with its labor negotiators regarding the Placerville Police Officers Association, but did not take reportable action.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's see. Would we like to adopt our agenda?
I'll move for adoption of the agenda.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Ceremonial matters. Let's see. The first one is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, or NAMI, recognition of Officer Dwayne Tadlock for Crisis Intervention Team Award. Chief Ortega.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this is going to be a presentation presented by Jan Melenko, who is the El Dorado County National Alliance of Mental Illness President, and it's going to be presented to Officer Dwayne Tadlock. So if they could both come up. I'll start off by reading a kind of an introduction of Officer. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you talk about the award first, Jane, and then we'll
Okay.
go through Officer Tadlock's resume.
Okay. National Alliance on Mental Illness is an organization that's been around for about 30 years and is nationwide. There are also statewide organizations, NAMI California, and then each county has affiliates. We primarily work on educating the public and the community about mental illness, provide support group and individual support for families and individuals, and also a lot of advocacy, like I'm, doing this evening. And this award was begun, 2011 was the first time, and because we really see the need for our law enforcement, who are often the first responders in mental health crises, to encourage and to celebrate excellence in crisis intervention training. And so tonight, I'm here to present an award to Officer Dwayne Tadlock, and I just met him this evening, and what surprised me, he's been in law enforcement for over 30 years. There's no way. But anyway, Chief Ortega will tell you more about him in a minute. But I just wanted to kind of set the background about mental illness. Mental illnesses are common. They're part of the human condition. Because they are disorders of the brain, their symptoms are often behaviors like paranoia, altered states of reality, and these behaviors are often misunderstood and may cause an individual to become, to cross that line and call attention to law enforcement. Families in crisis, sometimes businesses or neighbors may be alarmed by the behaviors and call 911 for assistance. The result is, each year, 2 million jail bookings involve a person with mental illness. Approximately 15% of men and 30% of women in local jails have a serious mental illness. 1 in 4 people killed in officer-involved shootings has a mental illness. These numbers just begin to show some of the relationships and consequences of a rather sad truth. Our mental health system across the country, state, and county often does not meet the need for services. For this reason, law enforcement agencies have increasingly become de facto first responders to people experiencing mental health crises. But law enforcement makes a real difference. In many communities, CIT programs have provided top-notch training for officers and help deal with often volatile problems that rise during mental health 911 call. CIT training helps law enforcement cope with these difficult calls for service and increases the safety of officers, individuals in crisis, and bystanders. CIT programs are built on strong local partnerships and leadership to support and maintain training for officers. These officers trained in CIT and implement the program provide a high degree of compassion, understanding, and expertise in law enforcement techniques. This evening, I am pleased to present our CIT Officer of the Year, Placerville Police Department, to Reserve Officer Dwayne Tadlock. And what I was impressed about his resume is how involved he actually is out there in the community. He's on the bicycle trail, patrolling the city. He works with the homeless population on a regular basis, and assisted many members of the community during a time of mental health or emotional crisis. His professional expertise represents the Placerville Police Department and our city in the most exemplary manner. So with congratulations and warmest appreciation, I present this plaque for CIT Officer of the Year. Thank you.
If I could just give a little resume of Officer Tadlock, and I know he doesn't look old enough to be in law enforcement for 30 years. But he started his career, I can't go through everything because we'd be here till 9 o'clock. But he started his career in a variety of roles as a school resource officer, as a community service officer for the city of Sacramento. He actually also worked for the California State Fair Police Department. And through the course of his life, he's served at the 14th Avenue Baptist Church down in Sacramento as an executive pastor, deacon, and other major roles. He currently works for the Horse Racing Board, California State Horse Racing Board is a investigator, and he works part-time for us here in the city of Placerville. And so he has quite a resume. He is very personable guy, and I think that's why he comes across in a very low-key manner, which is good when you're dealing with people who have some other problems. So, Dwayne, congratulations.
Well, thank you very much for that. Congratulations, and as always, just another example of the fine efforts by all of our Placerville Police Department, and of course the staff in general at the city. So, anyway, thank you. Okay, it'll be my honor on Memorial Day, on Monday, to read a proclamation by the city of Placerville recognizing those who have given their lives in service to their country. It is one of those things. We try to, as you may have noticed, I try to bring a little humor to the proceedings here and try to make things go in a way while still taking care of the very serious business of the city. But this is, of course, a very serious issue that every generation of Americans that have answered the call to duty for their country, some of them pay the highest price of all. So I will be reading, it's in the agenda package if you'd like to look at it. I'm going to be reading the proclamation at the Memorial Day ceremonies over at the county on Monday. So anyway, so we'll be recognizing those folks for their efforts. Okay. So I believe that's it for ceremonial matters. Public comment. This is the portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the council on any matter not on the agenda. That is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. State law prohibits the council from taking any action on this except for some very rare and unusual circumstances. You have 3 minutes to address the city council. And as I say all the time, let's follow the golden rule. Don't say anything that you would not want to have someone say about you. So, first, I guess, is do we have any written communications? I know we do because I'm looking at one.
The only thing is this one, and I believe the gentleman is here to speak about
Yes,
this tonight,
great.
too.
So that'll be
we'll
good.
wait on that.
And that's it? Okay, great. So are there any, do folks want to come up and talk to us about this? Okay, great. Please state your name and residence.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, my name's Don Vanderkar, longtime resident of the community. I also would like to take a moment personally to thank the police department for the City of Placerville. My wife and I work with homeless, and we've spent many a night with them, and we are very much aware of the mental illness issues, and we compliment the police department for their handling of these difficult situations. I have spoken before the council before. This time I wish to make my comments very short, kind, and gentle. I do appreciate the role that you have and that you must answer to those who elect you. However, you are also called to protect human health and safety in Placerville. In addition, I suggest you're called to be caring human beings, which I know you are. My wife and I have many friends along the streets of Placerville. We have grown to appreciate these precious human beings and to care deeply for our homeless friends. We encourage you to take a few moments to reach out to some of these homeless people, citizens of your city, and simply try to get to know some of our friends. If you would set aside a period of time, say 30 minutes, in which you might open the doors of Town Hall or find another appropriate place and sit at a table with people without houses or people who have overcome various conditions, addictions, that's the word I was thinking. If you would just take a few minutes to talk with them, learn their stories, and take look them in the face and listen to the stories and treat them like fellow human beings, which they are. We must be careful about mixing government and religion, but I believe our friends are, like the rest of us, made in the image of God. Brown Act considerations may make such meetings difficult, but perhaps separate meetings might be required. You have little to lose, and I believe a lot to gain. I believe that this would assist in bringing interest. We are able to and willing to bring interested homeless people to such meetings, if you wish, and I challenge you to implement this suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Does anybody else wish to address the council? Okay.
Sue Rodman, Placerville resident, and I received the following from our Assemblyman, Brent Bigelow. And he asked the question, why is Sacramento ignoring the wildfire threat? And what he says is true. Just because we had a wet winter does not mean the wildfire threat is gone. But in the latest budget proposal, the legislature proposes to slash funding to deal with the tree mortality issues. And California really needs to invest in sustainable forests so that the fuels that build up don't lead to devastating wildfires. We've certainly seen some of those, and it would be better if we don't get any more than we absolutely have to. So he's asking for people to let the legislature know that, yeah, there is a problem and it's ongoing and trees are still dying and we do need to address it. So, thank you.
Could I say something? Sue, I just wanted to say I also got the letter, we probably all did, and he was saying that the state, they're proposing to take the money for the beetle infestation, to take the funds. And so what I don't understand is, and I know maybe you can't answer this question, but I think those trees are causing quite a hazard that we're talking about. So I don't know.
The beetles are still very active, and they are still killing trees.
Right, and so that's they want to take those funds
to do something else, and we really need to use those funds to take care of the beetle-infested trees.
We need both, right?
Yes. So
thank you.
I had a tree, a nice ponderosa pine, die in my back hill just this last winter that I did not expect to die, but it did, and so we had to take it down. But there's a lot of others around that I see. I still see patches of dead pines that we need to deal with.
Right.
And it's going to be tough for people to do if there's no funding.
Exactly.
Thank you, Sue. Anyone else? Oh, okay. Okay. I guess not. All right. Well, thank you very much, and we'll. Oh, wait, jump fast. Oh, we do. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
I wasn't sure if the written communication you were referring to was mine. So, hi, I'm James Gledhill, and I'm actually not a city resident, although I consider myself a resident de facto. I live in Fair Oaks and spend a lot of my time each week here in Fair Oaks, rather in Placerville. And I'm just here tonight to let the mayor and the council know about a really exciting community-based music project that I've been working on with 15 local singer-songwriters for the last 9 months. And it's a unique project that really captures the spirit of our community here, both from our artistic standpoint, but also from a sense of community standpoint. And I think one of the advantages I have, being a fresh set of eyes to a wonderful place like Placerville, is to appreciate how special and unique it is. And having a little bit of background in music, when I saw not just the talent, but the camaraderie between the musicians here, the venues that host live music, and the patrons, the people of the community that love to come out and share and enjoy music, and seeing how music was truly serving as a connector in the community, a positive connector in ways that virtually nothing else can connect people who otherwise might not ever sit together or get to know each other better and have a positive experience. So I wanted to honor what I had seen by capturing a cross-section of this magic that happens in our community many times every week. And I came up with this idea last summer of the Songs of the Gold Country community music project. And it's started out as an album, and we're in the process of recording all of that, which is very exciting. And parenthetically, we're doing a preview concert at the Shakespeare Club on June 9th, Friday, June 9th. We encourage you to come out and support it. We're looking to get a full house out there, and it'll give you a sneak peek at these amazing songs. All of the songs fit under this mosaic of telling the story of the history, landscape, and people of the Gold Country. And half of the artists on the project are Placerville residents. There's very interesting aspects. There will be an article coming out in the Mountain Democrat here in the next couple of issues that really gets into more detail. But I wanted to make the council aware of it because I think it sparks a lot of things that I know you're interested in. Community pride, for sure. Promoting the arts, offering an opportunity for the community to come together and get out from their television and off the couch and spend time around something we all enjoy. And also from the economic development benefits. Part of the strategy is with this album, it'll be appealing to tourists that come through. And they'll take it back to all points around the world and enjoy it, and that will bring more awareness to the artists here and to our community and these songs that we sing about. So I thank you for your time and attention. I'm happy to take any questions.
Are there questions? I am very excited by this sort of thing. The gentleman did not come to the council, but we also have a young man who's promoting some performance events in September in town here, and so we've got a lot of buzz around that. So this is just more of that, and the music scene here is very good. So thank you very much, and I'll see if I'll try to be there on the 9th at the Shakespeare.
I think the information that he provided us really tells the whole story. That's why we don't have any questions.
Excellent.
No, you did a
Well, you
real
have
good
my
job.
contact information, and you
Yes.
can get on Facebook and join our page and follow along all the exciting things we're doing in the community and with
Cool.
this project.
Cool.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, just
Thank you.
really appreciate you making us, aware of this. So many
Right.
people don't, and we hear about it through the grapevine. Although certainly know several of you, your musicians, and so thank you for recognizing that this area is certainly rich in artistic talent and for capturing our history and our community in such a creative way. And
My
we look
pleasure.
forward to it.
You're going to love the music when it
Can't
comes
wait.
out. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Is that it for the oral comments? Very good. Okay. Let's see. The consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion by roll call vote unless any member of the council wishes to remove an item for discussion. The reading of the full text of all resolutions will be waived unless a council member requests otherwise. Does anybody want to pull anything off of the consent calendar?
I don't.
Move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, all right. Do we have any public comment on our lovely consent calendar?
Compact and concise.
I'm amazed. Okay, we'll bring it back here. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Acuna,
Aye.
Councilmember Borelli,
Aye.
Mayor Clarici,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Thomas.
Hi.
Thank you.
Okay, so no items are pulled. We have no ordinances. Public hearings. Adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City Council of the City of Placerville adopting rates for the collection of solid waste within the City of Placerville franchise area. This is one of my annual favorite things, believe it or not, because the reports are always really well done. The information is extremely timely, and I'm always just impressed with the professionalism around this. So, Mr. Morris.
Yeah, just quickly, as you know, we have in our contract that allows for adjustments to our solid waste rates on an annual basis based on criteria that is set up in there. And so this year you have attached to this the request from El Dorado Disposal. Tonight we have here Sue Van Linder and Jeff England that will make a presentation on this, and then we'll continue from there. So, Sue?
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's nice to see all of you.
It's always good to see you too.
While the machine is warming up.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay.
And thank you for working with me and the presentation. I appreciate that. So I'm going to be fairly brief because you have a lot to work through this evening. I'm going to try and hit the highlights of the presentation. So without further ado, my name is Sue Vandelinder. I'm the Divisional Vice President for Waste Connections, and I also am the District Manager for El Dorado Disposal. And it's a privilege and an honor to be here before you tonight. I really appreciate all of you. I've worked closely with all of you over a number of years. Pierre and I have been actually touring the Main Street customers and working with them on some projects for the enclosures in the Center Street garage. And we'll continue to do that until we finish. And then we'll be working on food waste, which you'll hear about in a minute. But it's just a pleasure and an honor. Your council is amazing, and you know, Cleve, it's been great working with you. So Just wanted to say that in advance of the presentation. I know this might be difficult for the audience to read, but I'm just going to hit the highlights as I said. So we service almost 2,800 residential customers in the city of Placerville. Service is mandatory. Customers have the ability to dispose of bulky items, and they have the ability to utilize the MRF with our bulky voucher program. So there's a number of ways for customers to not only have curbside service, but also to deal with extra large materials that they wouldn't otherwise be able to dispose of. Every new customer receives a welcome packet, and we do a lot of outreach in the community via our website and also through mailings and billing statements. Oops. So a couple of comments about 2016 and our community cleanup events. We held 2 community cleanup events in the city of Placerville this year. We received 70 tons of trash, 8 tons of green waste, 5 tons of recyclable materials, and always we work with Snowline Hospice to look for ways to help them with gently used items that they can take back to their store and resell. And so they were able to collect 3 tons of material for their thrift store. We also had 356 bulky item pickups this year in the city of Placerville, and we participated in 16 community events, which enable us to do outreach so that we can better educate our residents on all of the programs that we offer. So a couple of comments about commercial customers. We service almost 400 commercial customers in the city limits. 126 of those customers meet the state criteria to recycle according to AB 341, which says that a customer who generates more than 4 yards of trash per week must have recycling service. Our recycling services are free, just as they are to the residents of the city of Placerville. And so almost every one of those customers has taken advantage of that free program, and they've been able to reduce their garbage service, which is great. We have about 6 that are the standouts, and generally those are our multifamily complexes. It's a little bit more difficult for them to recycle and to educate people on recycling, so we're going to continue to work with them so that we have everybody in compliance, hopefully by the end of the year. In addition to that, we've had a new assembly bill last year introduced, AB 1826, which has to do with organic recycling, predominantly food waste in the city. And we're going to talk about that in a second, but I'll tell you that the jail offered to participate because they do have a culinary program. So we were able to take their pre-consumer food waste, not their post-consumer, but their pre-consumer food waste, and we were able to put that into our food waste recycling program and take that to Clean World Technologies, which turns the food waste into gas, which is used to fuel trucks. So countywide, we took a total of 245 tons of commercial food waste this year to Clean World Technologies. So how did we perform in 2016? We hit all the standards. I'm not going to go into the details. You can read them for yourselves, with the exception of the phone standard. With the phone standard, so our customers are now asking more complex questions. We have more programs available to every customer. And so our average wait time has increased from about 90 seconds to somewhere around 2.5 minutes. And the reason for that is because the average customer call, which used to be less than 3 minutes per call, is now somewhere north of 4.5 minutes per call. So we added 3 new customer service representatives this year, and still we are finding that that's a difficult challenge to meet. So you will see a reduced rate increase request as a result of not hitting that standard. But I will tell you that that is something that we're looking at in terms of how to better handle those customer calls and what might we do to address that issue.
Sue,
going forward.
Sue, excuse me.
Sure.
What are they asking you that's taking so long in
So
general?
generally, it's not so much the customer asking us as us informing the customer.
So the explanations are
Yes.
more detailed.
So
Okay.
when we have them on the phone, we take them through a litany of conversation about, did you know that you can take your free recycling to the buyback center? Did you know that you can use your voucher for X, Y, and Z? Did you know that we offer free recycling for commercial businesses? So every call takes a bit longer than it used to. That's because we feel an obligation to really educate the customer when we have them on the phone. We also don't operate like a lot of other entities, and we'll talk about this at a later time, but we don't pass a customer off to a voicemail. So a customer, once they're on the phone with us, gets handled from what I would call cradle to grave. So we take care of that customer's needs all the way through the life cycle. That takes a little bit longer than, let me connect you to this extension, blink, and all of a sudden you're in voicemail. So once you talk to a live person, they help you all the way through the system. So just a couple of comments about, oops, I'm going to guess do that every time, about the rate change proposal that's in front of you. I wanted to do a comparison of the rates. Predominantly, most of the customers in the city limits have a 35-gallon garbage cart. So the rate is changing. Proposed change is from $19.55 a month to $20.06 a month. Once again this year, we are asking the council to approve a hold on the senior rate for 35-gallon customers that have that senior service. That's not something that we ask for you to pass through any other ratepayer. That's just something that El Dorado Disposal recognizes is a challenge for a senior who, adopts the lowest level of service. So for the now 7th year in a row, we're going to ask that you hold that level flat at $16.24 a month. So a couple of new programs implemented in 2016. We now offer free mattress recycling at the material recovery facility. So anybody who brings in a mattress or box springs can bring that in for free to the material recovery facility. In the city limits, we recycled over 60 mattresses, and we offer a reduced rate for carpet recycling, and we received over 33 yards of carpet from the city limits. So this is my advertisement. My advertisement is, did you know that you can access the website at eldoradodisposal.com, and you can type in your address and get all the information you could ever possibly need. And further, you can sign up for a bulky voucher. You can sign up for iPhone or Android service so that you get notification of when your service day is. So I say this a little bit in jest, but it's really vital that anybody who has web access knows about this service offering. You can type in your address and get great information online, and so you're not having to wait on hold or wait for a customer service representative to get your call answered. Additionally, we return emails within 24 hours, so don't be afraid to email us. We'll be right back to you. So just so you know what the stats look like, oh dear. All right. I'm never going to do a presentation like that again. They're all going to come up at the same time. We had 869 Placerville calendars viewed on this particular site that I'm talking about. The other information on, in terms of stats is really countywide. It's hard for us to delineate Placerville, but or any other particular jurisdiction. But I will tell you that 869 Placerville calendars individually were viewed, which is more than double a year ago. So people are using this service. Okay, I'm going to try not to go too far. So what's next in 2017? we want to be able to do textile recycling at our buyback centers and the MRF, and that is clothing recycling. So these are items, clothing type items that you would not take to a Snowline hospice or a Goodwill. These are things that are overused, if I will, and you might want to still be able to take those somewhere so they don't end up in the trash, but they can be turned into other products such as rags. So we're looking for a company that will assist us in taking textile material. We are also super focused on looking at the AB 1826 requirements, which have to do with food waste and organic material. Actually, Pierre and I and Taylor are working with Main Street customers first because they will meet the criteria to recycle food waste, and so we're working with them to help them to develop programs for their particular needs for food waste. So we will meet with every customer in the city limits that meets the requirement today for 1826. Right now, there are 33 commercial businesses identified in Placerville that may meet the threshold for compliance. So all 33 will be visited in the year 2017. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
As always, excellent. Thank you. Okay. Do we have any questions? Not a single question.
I don't think so.
Really? No? You have a comment? Well, questions and comments are kind of the same. If you want to make a comment, go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry. Jeff and Sue, just want to thank you again for joining us tonight. And, thank you for recognizing that we have a lot of senior folks in our community and helping them out and keeping their costs low. Really appreciate your help in that. And the fact that you have a quality control model built into your pricing method speaks, highly to your commitment to our community. And just want to recognize that. That's darn impressive. And we really, appreciate you being a great community partner.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question.
We'll go right ahead.
Since we have the director here from El Dorado Disposal. Nice to see you again. The MRF, there's been a lot on and off. There's been stories about getting a new one and rebuilding and where it'll be sited, and I think some of that's actually progressing. Could you give us an update on the state of the hopefully a
And
new
what's the
facility and the material recycling facility?
I know, but some people might not know what you're
It's
talking
Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego is what it is, but okay.
And he turned your microphone off. He's
I
a
don't,
sneaky
I don't know
man.
how that happened. Yes, Councilmember Acuna, I will tell you that we are moving forward on the MRF rebuild. And I really appreciate the question because this really is an important update for everyone. As you know, El Dorado Disposal, along with a number of other parcels, sits on an old lime processing facility. As such, there are lime ponds underneath the soil, right? They're underneath the ground there at El Dorado Disposal. We have been working very closely with the Water Board and testing all of the soils at that facility to ensure that before we build a new facility, that we don't have a lime issue, so a pH issue, etc. So we have wells installed to be able to test that information. We are working very closely with Walter Floyd from the Water Board, and we have actually prepared samples and have been communicating with him so that we have a good workable plan for what we're going to do with those soils, where we're going to remediate, how deeply we have to remediate, et cetera, before we can actually build a new campus. So the campus has been designed. That's not to say that we won't make further improvements. However, we're hoping to be shovel ready by next April. We have to work through permitting. Once the Water Board approves the plan for what we're going to do with the soils, we will then go into permitting with the county. Once we get through permitting with the county, then we'll be building. So we're super excited. Wish that we were building this year. Hoping to build next year. Hoping that we can work through permitting, in the next 12 months. So we are looking at putting in one additional piece of equipment this year. It's about $750,000 in one piece of equipment, but it is what we call a construction and demolition shredder. And what that piece of equipment does is it takes the construction and demolition material that we have on the front end and it breaks it down so that we can sort it better. And then on the back end, it further breaks it down and it turns it into what we call alternative daily cover for landfills. So that should increase our diversion as a county and as a city by a substantial amount because the weight comes from that construction and demolition material. So my goal is to have that in place in the summer of this year.
Wow, that's great.
And Sue, once you get through the permitting, what's the anticipated construction time frame for the new facility?
So another great question. We have to stay open while we're constructing. So we're looking at doing this in 2 phases, which is basically 2 years. The first phase would happen in 2018. The second phase would happen in 2019. The first phase would be basically level that lot. So level those 11 acres. So that we can appropriately use all 11 acres. We would build that new basically MSW facility. So where the public dumps now, we would build a new public dumping area for garbage. That would be the first phase because we have to stay operational. Then the second phase, year 2, would be to tear down the existing facility with the exception of the offices, which would be repurposed. And we would build another facility in that location, which would basically house the C&D and the green waste operation. So during the first phase of construction, green waste and construction and demolition material will be held off-site. We will do some kind of off-site processing of that material while we're building this new facility.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any
Thanks,
other
sir.
questions
Great
about
information.
trash? Very good. Okay. Well, thank you. Would the public like to comment on this issue? Okay. Well, then I will close the public hearing. Does anybody want to entertain a motion?
I will entertain a motion that we accept what has been presented to us.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
And since we're dealing with rates and this is a hearing, we have to probably do a roll call, I would imagine. Let us call the roll.
Councilmember Acuna?
Aye.
Councilmember Borelli?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Thomas?
Aye.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
could I just, I want to thank Sue and Jeff. We've worked well together with them for the last year, and I appreciate all that they've done to help us. I just want to mention, Sue did mention the fact that they did not meet their call standard, and therefore their rate increase was reduced by 20%. We do want to work with them. We've had some discussions already to look at, we may change that standard. And so we're going to work on that over the next couple of months here, and we'll probably be coming back with something to you, which will require an amendment to their contract to do that.
Okay.
So we'll get back with you on that.
Sounds great. Well, thank you. Okay. Let's see our action items. 12.1. Adopt a resolution approving a lease agreement with SOL Community Farmers Market to conduct a farmers market on city property located at the Tetrault parking lot, and authorizing the Director of Community Services to execute the same. Mr. Ewell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. The intent of this lease agreement is to provide a public location within the city to conduct a certified farmers market selling agricultural products, artisan items, prepared foods, and outdoor products. The agreement is similar to other farmers market lease agreements within the city limits. The proposed farmers market will be held this Sunday and will end on the last Sunday in October. The Communities Farmers Market is going to be located at the Tetrott lot next to the post office on Sacramento Street. The Placerville Downtown Association has been made aware of the possible Sunday farmers market and is in favor of the activity. There will be no additional direct costs associated with this contract, and staff anticipates that an additional $900 will be generated in revenue to the city. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have any questions?
Not at this time, sir.
Okay. Do you have any? Okay. Ms. Valesco, do you wish to speak on this?
Good evening. My name is Luli Velasco, and I own the Seoul Community Farmers Market. And we popped up for the last 3 weeks, the last 3 Sundays, with the approval from the city manager to do so until we were able to get into the council, since the meeting was pushed out a bit till the 23rd. So we've had 3 weeks to set up, see what the T-Trawl was like, and work with the space that Cleve and Steve were both offering us. So at our last council meeting, the council voted and offered the highest likely place, I believe Councilmember Acuna suggested would be the T-Trawl. So in working with Cleve and Steve over the past few months, we came to a final offer, if you will, of the back corner of the T-Trawl lot. So we, for the last 3 weeks, though we were not in favor of that, we attempted to give it a trial run. So we did that for the last 3 weeks, and it had been suggested, the T-Trawl, and we'd had a meeting with Cleve and Cleve had said T-Trawl, and you could even have the whole lot. And after Steve and I had visited the lot, toured it, discussed any leases, any access that anybody had, met with the post office and the postmaster, they came to say it would be the back corner or nothing. And at that point, I was within 72 hours or so of opening. So we agreed, Cleve agreed to offer that to us for the 3 weeks until we could come back here. So that's not acceptable, the back corner. I have not spoken with Stephen Cleve over the last 3 weeks about how it's gone. The first 2 weeks, we were new and were so-so, and it'd be a little hard to just base it on that. But after this 3rd week, especially with the car show happening and all the action and the traffic down there, it's not acceptable. The visibility, as we had discussed at the February 14th meeting, was probably one of the main issues. There's zero visibility, as we all know, and you as council members, I'm sure, know every lot quite well and what it looks like from the street and how we all get there and who parks there and why. And the tents, the tip tops or so, especially with us being in the back corner and all the traffic coming into park, you can't see us beyond that traffic. It's my understanding that there are additional leases in the front half that was communicated by both. They had addressed the leases in the back half, but had not in the front half. So I'm here to thank everybody for all the time and the work that Steve and Cleve and the staff have put in, and myself, the vendors, and the farmers as well. But unfortunately, that lot is not accessible. Aside from the visibility, that is a common sleeping area for the homeless, and I'm totally in support of all the work in the homeless community. I hope to help serve them through our market as well once we get big enough. However, the urine and feces that's left there every week, and we go in on Saturday and clean up, and we come in on Sunday morning and clean up again. And Steve was able to get the sand removed, which was a nice sleeping pad, I think, for them. So I felt a little bad about that. I don't know how long that's been going on. And then the bushes area next to the entrance of the post office is the other common area. So had we been able to use the entire lot, we could have popped our tents up in the front. for the last 3 weeks and really had people get a sense of who we were, where we were, see our signs. We've done the signage thing. We've got banners out. We have A-frame, sidewalk signs, all over town directing people in. And, that's, of course, got us the few customers that we were able to have. But as we suspected and discussed, there's just absolutely no visibility there. And the last I was told there's no way to work into the front of the lot. It needs to remain open for parking. So it's really unfortunate after all the work that we've put in to partner with the city and to stand up for the farmers and for the local vendors and the families to come out and earn money doing things they're already doing and trading at home and in the community and in churches and on these homesteading Facebook pages and all these great local ways we are all connecting now. But it's what's kind of amazing is after all the work we've put in, it still comes back to the Fox lot being the only lot that's totally unencumbered and has no ties, has no ownership, has no leases, has no, use that's been established. Let's say like the Carey House, we attempted to work on the Milton lot, which was a possibility, and we asked for half of it. And the Carey House had the same concerns as some of the other businesses. Well, that's where our customers park, and why should they have to walk, et cetera, which we understand the Carey House is a historic monument. It's a super business in our community, and they've been there for a really long time. However, there was a half a lot to share. They only had a lease on 10 of the 40 spots. So that didn't end up working out because they were unwilling. And that's unfortunate because it feels like the businesses that we're all trying to work together to build up are actually being kind of played against each other and us while we all try to work together. I received a list from Cleve and Steve. I called the businesses. I called Remax. They hold quite a few leases. I called Maryland Salon over by Totem and all the businesses that are on the lists with the leases. And they were all in favor. Even the Carey House said, sure, I think we could figure it out. But in the end, a week after saying that, they decided against sharing the lot, we'll call it. So that's where we're at. We're working hard to really, this is our small business as hosts of the farmers market, and then all the businesses that we host within it are all individual businesses in the lot. So whether there's 2 or 6 or 20 of us, we're all here to do the same thing everybody else is, and ask for the council support. I've done everything you all suggested, including the work I put in for the last several years. And the Fox lot was it. The Fox lot's a hot spot. It's prime real estate. Though it was mentioned at both of the last 2 council meetings by Councilmember Acuna that there's no visibility from 50. That's not the case at all. There's total visibility from 50. There's visibility from Main Street. It's got access for pedestrians to get in and out. And our customers, because of the leases in the T-Trawl the last 3 weeks, our customers are parking in the Fox lot. So everybody's sharing everything anyway. And so that's where we're at. We're here to build community, and we're fighting for it left and right. We have brought tons of support every single meeting, and that doesn't seem to, make a difference in the way the council receives us. We were very disappointed at the February 14th meeting that Mayor Clarici and Councilmember Wilkins, who I know is not here to speak, voted a nay. I understand voting, all together, 5-0 or 4-0, however it ends up, is really what you guys want. I've sat on boards. I work hard in the Native community. I'm Chiricahua Apache and Tohono O'odham. I'm Native American. I work very hard for the Native community here in the nonprofit center that I'm at with the Office of Ed and with Social Service. I run the board. I've chaired the Indian Council board myself. I understand how the voting works and why. We still were disappointed you guys voted in favor last time in June of 2016 is what I mean last time. And so this past time, Mayor Clarici, you went back and forth, physically, verbally, and weren't sure and said it was so difficult. And Councilmember Wilkins also was so in favor the year before, and then this year, you both voted nay. So, we don't understand why the only lot that's totally unencumbered and doesn't have established businesses on the other side, like the Carey House, for example, has new businesses just like us, who are starting out just like us. No leases, no ties, nothing. The other lots out in front of Jack Russell, I believe you guys lease for that building, those 2 spots in front. We want to be on this end. The businesses want us on this end. All those businesses I presented to you guys February 14th, they all signed and stated and gave feedback about why they wanted us on this end. And Councilmember Acuna, your response to that was this. That's.
I think we got
it. So
we think we got it. Yes.
So in order for the T-Trol to work at all, if we were able to stay in it, we'd need the whole lot. One, we're paying for it, the same amount that we would have paid for the Fox lot and did. And 2, nobody can see us unless we're up against that fence right next to Milton, if anything.
Okay.
We're brand new.
Okay. All right, thank you. I think we understand, and we have maybe some questions here. Is there anybody else that would like to comment on this? Okay, thank you. Okay. Please?
I just wanted to comment that I did mention that we were willing to expand the T-Trol lot as the farmers market expanded and needed that space. We were not at all saying that they could not have the entire T-Trol, but if you've been down to the farmers market, I was down there at the first one. I did not make it the last 2 weeks, but the first one, there were a total of 5 tents, or 5 pop-ups, I'll call them, at the farmers market when I was there. And I didn't see the point of taking up the entire T-Trol lot, which takes up parking for available, even for their market, their customers to the market. I didn't see the point in doing that. So I think we can expand it as they grow their business and they're able to attract people to it. But I didn't see the point in doing that from the beginning. So that's the reason for that.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments, questions?
I think my comment to that, and I have not been privy to all the prior conversations, because when it was a Fox lot, I had to recuse myself. So, but I am aware of the conversations because I checked the tapes. But I guess the question would be that she brought up would be visibility, and I do understand, that concern. That is that lot being used? Generally speaking, if the farmers market is not there, do folks use that on Sundays?
That lot was chosen mainly because it is not. It's probably the least used of those
impacted.
Lots. And
right.
the others are, as I think Councilmember Kuna has stated in the past, the Fox lot is fairly heavily used.
Oh, I know that. Yeah.
And the new, I know the Jack Russell Brewery has started the morning brunch, I believe it's called.
I'm talking about the front part of the T-Trol lot.
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Those others were. This one is not heavily used, and that's why we chose it as an area that could be used for the farmers.
And what was the reason that we couldn't offer them the front part versus the back?
There's not a reason why we can't. That's just a fairly large lot for the size of their farmers market at this time. But and the other thing is, if you take the front, that takes the entire lot.
Because the access.
Because of the access
right.
coming through, you can't just offer the front and then leave the back open because there's no access into it. So.
Could you do like half?
Access is
no,
tough.
not really,
You have to be
because
able
of
to
the
drive around
access. It just doesn't work the way the parking stalls are aligned in there.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's the back portion would work the way it is working in terms of still allowing traffic to flow through there. But if you open up to another, you'd have to block off traffic coming into there.
So, question for Cleve. Cleve, or Steve, the agreement that's before us this evening is for the use of the entire lot for the season, or just the rear portion?
Well, with the agreement that is shown here shows the entire T-Trol lot. We had told them verbally that we wanted them to just use the back portion at this time. So that's a decision that the council will have to make tonight, what you would like to do.
Well, it seems if the lease is for the entire lot, they ought to have use of the entire lot. if that's what the lease is written. That's just my feeling. I don't know how the rest of the council feels.
Yeah, that was my understanding, that they were going to have the entire lot available to them. Because we wouldn't be bringing this back,
No.
in August when there's.
So is this going to be like before, that it's, and I think that's what I'm reading, that it's a trial? And if we see that it's, I know, but if we see that it's not working, or...
It's a lease from May to the end of October of
Exactly.
2017. Right. Yeah.
You mean trying it for the whole year, Patty? Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you'd have to do.
There's a cancellation provision in there.
Okay.
Things didn't work out.
It's a similar agreement, I think, as to what we had last year, correct? As far as cancellation from either side.
I certainly appreciate all the work that has gone on from staff's position and from your position too, and it seems like a workable solution would be to allow you to use the whole lot and move up, because I understand the visibility is a critical factor in getting a new event established in a new location. So I would like to move approval that we adopt a resolution approving the lease agreement as written, with the ability for them to use the entire lot for their farmers market.
I'll second the motion. Okay. And I had a comment?
Of course.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate Elizabeth's passion for this project. You quoted me a number of times, and I appreciate that that I'm getting noticed. When you came to us last year, and when you worked in the Fox lot last year, before the meetings, one of the lots that staff had suggested was the Ivy House lot. And you didn't want to operate another farmer's market there on a Sunday after the successful Saturday farmer's market. And I see you shaking your head no, and you still don't want to operate a farmer's market there. So I want to just let the record show that a very desirable, in my opinion, visible from Highway 50, visible from Main Street and Cedar Ravine and Clay Street lot, and I've just checked with the city manager, it's still available on Sundays. It's surrounded by a number of businesses that are closed on Sundays, and the same restaurant type businesses that would benefit from another day of farmers market are still open. So I'm sure that it would still work very well, but this is a choice that you didn't want, and I respect that. The Fox lot, I did a lot of homework. I spent a lot of Sundays last summer making sure that we weren't impacting our businesses. And just a couple weeks ago, I sat across the street at Mel's and had a wonderfully constructed ice cream hot fudge sundae, and watched 50% of the clients that went into the front door of Jack Russell come from the Fox lot. 50%, maybe a little bit more. Typical midday Sunday. So I know that's, we all have our driving parking habits that we like, and that's their comfort zone. So I feel still very comfortable that the Fox lot needs to serve its purpose as a parking lot. It sounds like there may have been some mistake or some miscommunication as to, and I agree with Councilmember Thomas, we are talking about leasing you the entire Tetrol lot. So that should be the agreement. And so with that, I would still second my motion.
Second the motion. Okay. And I would like to just add on that as well. I was in favor of the original venture off into the Fox lot, and after watching it for the amount of time that was in there. And then it's funny about parking, you don't really think about it until someone brings it to your attention, then you notice it all the time. And I have occasion to go through that part of town and on the mid-morning on Sunday, and the Fox lot is very well parked in. And so even though I may have changed my vote, I feel very comfortable with the vote that I took back in February or whenever that date was, because I think I agree with Councilmember Acuna. I think that the Fox lot is highest and best use right now is as a parking lot for a variety of reasons. But I do still support this concept, and I will support this thing. So we have a motion and a second. Okay. Let's do a roll call.
Councilmember Acuna?
Aye.
Councilmember Borelli?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Thomas?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The next item. Provide direction to staff regarding the sponsorship of the 2017 Christmas Parade.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yule.
Thank you. Staff is seeking direction in regards to the sponsorship of the 2017 Christmas Parade. For the past 38 years, the city of Placerville has partnered with local businesses and organizations to conduct a Christmas parade through town. The Christmas Parade is an annual event that is enjoyed and participated in by many local community members, groups, and families. The Christmas Parade is also a major fundraising effort for the local Toys for Tots program. This year's parade is lacking a primary sponsor. The primary sponsor for the Christmas Parade is required to submit a special event application to the City of Placerville's Department of Community Service and follow event guidelines established by the city. The main functions of the primary event sponsor include, but are not limited to, flyer development, sponsorships, advertising, parade registration, awards, volunteer recruitment, and training of volunteers. The sponsor must also provide special event insurance, naming the city as a co-sponsor of the event. As a co-sponsor of the event, the city provides assistance with traffic control, logistics, and advertising. Staff is hopeful that another primary sponsor for the parade will be found. We will continue to seek a sponsor. However, if an organization does not come forward, other options will need to be considered. Option 1 would be to suspend the event at a general fund savings of approximately $6,000 to the city. Option 2 would be to continue to co-sponsor the event with a qualified applicant that is permitted. The city's annual contribution is typically around $6,000 and has been budgeted for. This option could still happen this year if an event sponsor was identified prior to July 1. Option 3 would be to name the city as the event holder and direct staff to conduct the event at an annual cost of approximately $15,000. Historically, the city has not coordinated some time-consuming aspects of the parade planning, including volunteer recruitment, advertising, registration, and thus the need for a part-time event coordinator to organize the event. The cost for option number 3 represents staff's best estimate and is subject to change due to the actual impacts of the Christmas parade, that being our first year to give a go at it. If the Council chooses option 3, staff will incorporate the associated estimated cost into the proposed fiscal year 2017-18 operating budget. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have, and any input you could give me, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. I mean, we have to have a Christmas parade.
Christmas
Come on. I
parade
mean,
is without a sponsor.
I mean,
But what did they do back before they had a sponsor?
well, I'm sure they've always had a
38
sponsor.
years.
Well,
Well,
McIntyre's did it forever.
38 years, it said.
Yeah, but the McIntyres did it a long time. Yeah, and then the Mountain Democrat. Okay. We have to have a Christmas parade, okay? I don't think there's any doubt about that. And so, do we have any questions or comments? We actually talked about a little bit yesterday.
Well, that wasn't fair.
Well, no, if I talked to you about it, that would have been against the law. So I've got
Against Santa's law.
I could only talk.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I might suggest, and I'm sure Mr. Yule is burdened with a number of important tasks, but yet his department never fails to come through.
That is true.
They are amazing people.
Never fails to come through.
Never fails.
The general public is not aware of this situation right now, but now we are
Well, they
we
will
are
now 'cause
advertising
it's
it,
out, so
and
I'm
they
sure it'll
are
be a
now.
Democrat.
Option 2 to me seems like the logical step. We've just discovered, the current sponsor is no longer going to be available. Put it out there to the community until July 1st or thereabouts. Our first meeting in July.
I think that's a good idea.
And see if someone or some organization is willing to come through. I think it's very important. Steve should at least plan on our typical Christmas parade participation.
There will be a Christmas parade.
The 6,000, give or take a little, for staff, and then we'll go from there.
Yes.
Perhaps the Boy Scouts would like to sponsor
Yeah,
the
we
parade.
need
I
a
think
troop
so.
here.
You know,
We're
I
looking
think
for
so.
sponsorship. This would be a big one.
Lively, energetic. You see,
Going
if
right
you
to
sit
the
around
top.
in one of these meetings long enough,
You get roped in.
you get roped into something. Okay.
I think we need to let the community come forward
Yeah.
and help us, and also support that we do
Yeah,
want this to continue.
there'll be a Christmas parade.
be a
I'm not
Christmas
too worried about that. I'm just
I have a question.
go.
And I think probably Cleve, you can answer this. I know last year that there was an unfortunate accident, and
Yes, there was.
so my question is the insurance aspect. If we take on something like this now, in the past, I know there's been Wagon Train, but I think those folks carried their own insurance. So we're taking on an insurance burden, and is that how are we or are we not? Is that going to affect our insurance or?
Well, it depends on what it ends up being. If we have a sponsor step forward, we will ask the sponsor to provide insurance, similar to what the Mountain Democrat did. Now, I will state that we kind of had dual insurance last year. We did that. The Mountain Democrat provided their insurance, plus we took out special events insurance. So we do that anyway.
Oh, okay.
So it wouldn't. That's included in that $6,000 cost, the special events insurance, right, Steve?
Yeah, that's included in the cost that the city incurs. For.
Yeah. So that would be their.
But is it like, maybe it's not like when we have personal insurance, we're all afraid to turn in a claim because Jack's our insurance. It's like. So, I mean, I'm just asking. I'm just curious.
It's part of a large group insurance
Okay.
purchase that we do, and so, I mean, sure, if you had a large claim, but it wouldn't affect ours individually. It affects the entire group.
I'd like to piggyback on Councilmember Borelli's question. Because if, we're a little late to the parade, so to speak. I mean, it's we're getting, Christmas is coming. And I would think that if we are to attract a major sponsor in the next, month, that's a pretty aggressive timeline. And in looking at the paperwork here, and in light of the accident last year, I saw under the release and indemnification agreement, it's asking the sponsor to be solely responsible for any damage, loss, accident, injury to persons or property resulting from the use of the City of Placerville property. Would it make sense as a co-sponsor for the city to take on this role, and then perhaps a sponsor, a co-sponsor, to take on the role of organizing and getting sponsorships and the other aspects that we don't have time to do, but that is less onerous from a liability standpoint? Because if I'm Joe Community and I'm looking at signing this, I'm saying, that's a lot to take on. I don't know, just a
agree.
thought.
That's a good idea. I think
Yeah.
that's a good
That is
idea.
an
Might be a little more
excellent idea.
palatable. I don't know. The attorney.
John is looking at us.
Let me stay first, and I'll let John add to this. If I were to ask Parsac, our insurance carrier, they would probably tell me, no, do not take that on.
At the risk of being the Grinch, I agree 100% with what Cleve is saying.
Because it's a risk. The other part of that is, if you're, normally, Parsac would tell you when you have an event that you're going to insure, you need to maintain 100% control of that. If we're co-sponsoring and allowing others to make decisions and do things, it puts us at a higher risk for the insurance. So that's the complication.
Let's not dive too deep into
Okay.
the weeds on this particular issue at this particular moment. I think the liability, anytime you have an event, anytime the city does anything, there's a liability component. Anytime there's an event on Main Street, that poor unfortunate incident that we had at the end of the last thing was unfortunate. But we'll figure that part. I'm less concerned about figuring out the I's dotting T crossing part of this and just finding a warm entity that will be willing to take this on. I mean, the Mountain Democrats, not the New York Times, and they managed to figure out how to do it for 4
They did a
years.
darn good job.
And
They did a darn
They
good
did
job.
a wonderful job.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that maybe it, in our small town, that maybe there could be 2 or 3
Yeah, that
sponsors.
is also-
That they
Again,
could be a partnership.
The 4 of us.
Let the community come. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
I can swing part of it.
could do that.
Okay, I had one more further question.
Yes.
Okay. Now, obviously, in the figures that presented to us tonight, that does not take into effect any revenue generated. So that would, offset the cost to either a full sponsor or a co-sponsor. Is that correct? entry fees, any other financial sponsorships?
Yeah, there'd be nothing, if it was a total city event, there's nothing to preclude the city from still going out and soliciting sponsorships to help
Right.
offset the costs associated with running the event.
The bigger
Yeah.
thing, I think the bigger issue is less about the money part of it, and although money's very important, is the organizational
The
aspects
manpower,
of it.
yeah.
It takes a lot
It's
of
a
time
lot
and
and we
energy
just don't
to
have
put
the
on a parade.
staff time to do it.
And staff is already busy doing the other business of the city. So that's the only concern I would have, is that there'd be a problem with that. Let's see. So we have
I have one further caveat.
This is a
I know, one more thing. All right, let me just throw this out there. This is a unique opportunity with the potential of the city maybe stepping up to a more, higher level or going out for a new sponsor. We have an opportunity to perhaps revamp how we do things. So I'm going to throw this out there. What would it look like if we combined this event with a Festival of Lights? And perhaps start the parade later in the day, perhaps around 3 o'clock, have it roll through Main Street, then shut Main Street down, and we party like crazy and light that Christmas tree, and we have one big old holiday
Somebody
bonanza.
suggested that to me last year, I think it was, and they said, you know what, this should really be combined.
Yeah, and the benefits of that are, number one, we would not close down Main Street for 2 critical days
That's
within
true.
the first holiday, 2 weekends in the holiday season.
That's right.
It would seem that we should perhaps hold the combined event maybe the Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend, not the Friday. Friday's always difficult for people going back and forth to Grandma's house, and getting back for the Festival of Lights. We do it on Saturday.
Right.
Because as we chatted yesterday with Cleve and John, we wouldn't want to do it that Sunday.
Oh, God, no.
Because my goodness, everyone and their mother and their grandmother are coming back from Apple Hill with a Christmas tree, and to have a street closure on Main Street on that Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend would be just the kiss of death.
And also
So-
to have it later, in the evening,
Mm-hmm.
you maybe could kind of beat that, having the problem with all the backup.
Close so early.
The Sunday, the Sunday traffic coming back.
Right. So Sunday would be
So
wide open.
that would be all. Yeah.
And then the first weekend December then would be wide open on Main Street for
Exactly.
holiday shopping. So it could be a really
Spend
unique
money
opportunity.
on Main Street, which is
Yeah.
the most important thing in the world.
Yeah.
I think we have had a plethora of great ideas.
I want to comment on that comment.
He has a plethora. And
Okay,
he's adding
go ahead.
I like that idea, but
However,
I would argue a little bit further that the traditional 4-day weekend at Thanksgiving is massively overloaded with Apple Hill Christmas trees, traveling, etc.
yeah.
And the Christmas parade always seems to fit nicely in on that first Sunday. But it does disrupt, you do have that dual disruption. Maybe move the tree lighting and
That
let
kicks off the holiday
there's
season,
already
but
so
yeah.
much going
Yeah,
on
there is.
on the
There is.
4-day
true,
weekend,
except-
and have. I like the idea of combining the two.
I do too.
We could
So if
consider
we're going to
that.
think it, let's
Because
just kind of.
there's another little city that does it, and I'm
Well,
for some
Auburn
reason
has
I'm
their-
thinking Auburn.
Auburn
or
does.
does.
They do
and-
the nighttime
and
parade
it
with
works,
the lights
yeah,
and
and
stuff, which
they
are great.
and I think we talked about this. I talked about it to somebody over at Sedcor, and they said it just works.
If we
great.
talk
Not bad
too
idea.
much more, our new police chief is going to quit.
He's going to say, I don't
He's
want
over
any
there
part of this."
like, would you just stop
I
this?
would like to ask one question to staff.
Sure,
Since
go
it was
ahead.
brought up by
Look at-
Councilmember Borelli. Was there any, was the city approached at all regarding the accident at the end of last year's parade? Our insurance or our,
Absolutely, we had a claim filed.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We have a substantial claim filed by at least 3 people who were injured, allegedly injured as a result of that incident. Some of the injuries are quite serious.
Oh, dear.
that I knew, okay,
Yeah.
I knew the injuries were
Right.
serious. I did not realize that accident.
But I hadn't heard.
And it's the defense has been tendered to to both our insurance company, the insurance that we obtained, but also to the Mountain Democrats Insurance Company, which should be the primary. We were also named as an additional insured under the Democrats policy, so they have a duty to defend us as well. Sure.
Right.
And
And-
so is
and-
that
yeah.
still ongoing?
Yeah.
That claim, those claims?
Very beginning stages.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's got a long history
Right.
ahead of it. Thank
And
you.
not to ignore the tragic events of last Christmas parade, but we've also run the Christmas parades for decades without anybody getting injured. So once again, I don't want to get too crazy about that.
No, but it's something to consider. that we're-
Every day when we walk out the front door,
Right.
we have
It
to
just-
consider
I think,
that.
Mr. Mayor, it just shows that there needs to be a thoughtful. There were.
I agree with you.
There was information that parade marshals, they need
Yes,
to
there
be
was-
empowered
there-
to say,
No.
interact if some things.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Right.
I kind of favor the weekend of Thanksgiving though, because I cannot imagine shopping on Main Street without having
Okay.
the tree lit up.
Well, I could
So,
arrange that.
Yeah, we could just flip it on, I guess, but that would be less
Well,
exciting.
maybe it just doesn't
Okay.
have to be the great
All right, let's
event
go.
that it is.
Was
you
there a
know,
motion?
I
Did we
mean,
need to make a
don't
motion?
have to have
Yes.
all the
Comment, public comment.
Okay.
Oh, public comment.
Would the public like to, if they're still awake, would the public like to comment
Robin has been waiting to
on
comment.
this issue?
It's a redwood tree.
Oh, Sue?
You don't have to. It's okay.
No.
I'll give you my 2 cents
Good,
worth,
good.
Sue Rodman. If I ran the world, we would do it the weekend after Thanksgiving, and we would combine the parade and the lights
Yeah.
that weekend, and not worry about dumping everything on Thanksgiving
Yeah.
weekend. I think it's just too much. I like Wendy's idea of combining it, do the parade later in the day, and put it on the weekend and the Saturday after Thanksgiving, not not Thanksgiving weekend, but the next weekend. That's still the first weekend in December. You got plenty of time.
Okay. Well, if Sue says so, then that's it.
I'm
we
glad
could-
she spoke.
We
Okay.
we could still light the Christmas trees on along Highway 50
That's
that weekend
true.
because they would have to be lit that
I
weekend.
agree.
Does
Yeah.
anybody else have any comments on this? Would the Boy Scouts like to comment? Okay, all right. Sir, would you like to comment? You're just, okay, great. Okay. So what's the motion again?
I'll move option 2 of the staff
Okay,
report.
we have a motion for option 2.
Second.
Did you want to
No.
flush it out? Or did you make it?
And part of that direction is to explore the option of combining the events.
Yes.
Is that? Do I
Yes.
take that
Yes.
to understand your motion to
and
include
moving
that?
it to a Saturday,
And some
either
weekend
the
to be
Thanksgiving
determined.
week Saturday or the first Saturday in
Right,
December.
okay,
Okay.
We might as well.
And I'll second that.
or some Saturday. Okay, great. We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's get that there. 12.3, adopt a resolution awarding a contract for parking enforcement services to SP Plus Municipal Services. Mr. Morris. Oh,
Thank you for coming.
ciao, ciao. Okay.
And we appreciate you taking on the parade. Okay.
Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As you recall previously, when we adopted new provisions for our parking program, I believe I mentioned to you that Banner Parking, our current enforcement service, is closing its door and closing up shop, no longer going to be able to offer that service for us. So staff proceeded fairly early in February, March to put out an RFP, request for proposals for additional services. We did receive 5 proposals that we considered. Myself, Dave Warren, and our parking enforcement officer, Ed Frost, reviewed the proposals and came up with what we felt our best recommendation was. We narrowed it down to the top 2, who were SP Plus and Douglas Parking, and we invited them in for an interview to see what kind of service, what we felt about them. We felt very good about actually both of them. We then narrowed it down based on cost to SP Plus, which was a little bit lower than Douglas. We called references on SP Plus, got good references on them. They have also worked quite extensively with Calais, who is our new parking meter vendor, and so they're very, very familiar with that program and working with that. So based on all of that together, we we are recommending SP Plus to be awarded the contract for parking enforcement. We have met with them. We've told them the condition is that we need to have this up and running by June 30 because that's when the contract ends with banner parking. They have told us that they can do that, and they are already starting that work to get it going. The other thing that was part of this, as you can see on the spreadsheet that I provided, we looked at 3 different options to provide the service. As you know, with our new parking program, we now go from 8 to 7 in the evening rather than 8 to 5, so we've added 2 hours. And it creates some other issues with during the busy part of the day. The goal was when this program first started that you could go from one end of the town to the other in 2 hours. And therefore you made that 2-hour route to catch the 2-hour free parking loop. Due to various issues, busyness, etc., that's getting very difficult for them to do that. So what we are recommending tonight is that council look at option 2, which has some overlap services where we would have 2 enforcement officers from 10 o'clock to, or 11 o'clock to 2 during the midday, which is the busiest part of the day, primarily during the lunchtime. There's also an option 3, which provides even more service, and you can see the cost prepared there. If we go with option 2, under the cost option, you can see currently we pay $8,900 per month for our current service. If we go with option 2 under SP Plus, their proposal would be $8,447, so slightly cheaper for the overlap service from them. So we think it's a good option. There will be some work to get this going and training, et cetera, get them up to speed. But we feel that this is the best option for the city at this time. So.
All right. Any questions?
No, sir.
We're good?
Good.
Would the public like to comment on this? Really? Okay. Bring it back here. I think it's all real good. Do we have a motion?
I move that we accept this as presented, and it's option 2, right?
2? Option 2. So we're going to take option 2, okay? Do we have a second on
I'll
this?
second the option.
Fantastic. Roll call on that? Or do we need a roll call?
Money.
Yeah. Roll call. That's right. It's money. I forgot. Roll call.
Councilmember Acuna?
Aye.
Councilmember Borelli?
Aye.
Mayor Clarucci?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Thomas?
Aye.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Item 12.4. Adopt a resolution approving an acquisition agreement for public purposes with the County of El Dorado for right-of-way acquisition of Assessor's Parcel 325-337 for the Western Placerville Interchanges Phase 2 project, and authorize city manager or his designee to execute the same. Mr. Rivas? No. Okay.
Again.
Staff.
Good
And
evening,
all
Mayor
the
Clarucci and
rest.
council members. Last meeting, I gave a pretty thorough update on the progress of the project, so I'll skip that. But I just wanted to follow up that we are honing in and wrapping up the last of the right-of-way items, this actually being the last right-of-way item as it pertains to the Western Placerville Interchange Project, the Phase 2 segment. This particular piece happens to be with El Dorado County, and through efforts as a partnership between the 2 collaborative agencies, it was decided that due to the regional significance of the project and the beneficial impacts that it has to not only county government center operations, but also the region as a whole, they agreed to waive the right to just compensation based on the valuation achieved by the appraisal. And as such, the Board of Supervisors actually took action on that item earlier this morning at the board meeting. And the item has already been approved by them as of this morning. And as such, the acquisition agreement you have before you mirrors what was approved by the board, and staff is recommending approving an acquisition agreement for public purposes with the County of El Dorado for right-of-way acquisition of assessor parcels number 325-300-37 for the Western Placerville Interchanges Phase 2 project, and authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the same. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Does anybody have any questions about this? Comments?
Nope. Ready to make a motion.
Ready? No?
Make it.
Okay, make the motion. Make the motion.
Public comment?
You make the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve staff's recommendation.
Second?
Second, okay. Would anybody from the public wish to comment on this? Oh, whatever. Seeing none, we'll bring it back here. We have a motion and a second. Roll call? Yes or no? Yes, roll call. It's a quasi-money thing. Okay.
Councilmember Acuna?
Aye.
Councilmember Borelli?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Thomas?
Aye.
All righty.
That's very nice. Thank you for working that out with the
Yeah,
county
that was
so that
great.
there was no funds encumbered to the project. And
And they did,
That's very nice.
They addressed it this morning.
was that successful, Mr. Morris?
Yes, it was. It was pulled, but then it was like nothing. They just
Great.
Awesome.
Turns out, just for your information, it was not really polled. What happened is they left a finding out of their
So they
staff
have-
report, so they put it on the agenda so
Okay.
that they could make that finding.
Cool. Got it. Okay.
So we're good. Thank you.
12.5, acknowledging receipt of the notice of violation from the Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board for discharge of partially treated wastewater spill and sanitary sewer overflows into Hangtown Creek from the Hangtown Creek Water Reclamation Facility and Sewer Collection System. And I'm not going to read the rest. Okay. Mr. Rivas, go ahead.
It's
Here we
Rebecca.
did it again.
Well, I know.
Staff.
Staff.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to
I appreciate it. It's respectful and correct to have Mr. Rivas listed on
That's
the
right.
agenda. He is the
There you
department
go.
head, and he
That's-
deserves that respect. So thank you. On April 17th of this year, the City of Placerville received a notice of violation for the partially treated wastewater spill, as mentioned in staff's report. The notice was issued by the Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board Enforcement Unit to the city due to the discharge of the wastewater into Hangtown Creek. The identified discharges are directly a result of the excessive amount of precipitation received from the succession of storm events that occurred in both January and February of this year. Existing conditions within the public sewer collection system and within private laterals and mains that connect to the public system for conveyance to the treatment plant led to an unmanageable amount of what's known as inflow and infiltration, or I&I, of stormwater into the collection system. The I&I intrusion into the sanitary sewer was transported to the city's wastewater treatment plant in an excessive volume so great that it overwhelmed the maximum treatment capacity and process capability. Excess partially treated wastewater was diverted into the facility's flow equalization basin, which quickly filled up and then had to be discharged into Hangtown Creek to protect the facility. In addition, the high volume of I&I in the collection system due to the storm surges caused additional sewage spills in Hangtown Creek from cleanouts, manholes, and from private laterals separating from the main line. 4 separate discharges were reported to the regional board and Cal OES by the city. The notice cites the permit for the treatment plant, regional board, and I'm not going to get into the specifics of the permit numbers, but it also covers the operational cease and desist order and the additional permit for the collection system, which is issued by the State Water Resources Control Board. And those items are for the discharge requirements for the sanitary sewer systems, or SSO general order. The received notice requires the following actions. By April 28th, we were to submit, and have already done so, a copy of the approved sanitary sewer management plan, which is a requirement by the SSO general order. This requirement was fulfilled. Staff submitted it on April 27th. The SSO general order does require semi-regular updates, and staff will be in the process of updating this document and bring it back for council approval at a later date. The other requirement was by May 26th in 2017, the city shall submit a treatment plan bypass work plan inclusive of the items listed in staff's report. You do have a copy of the work plan within your packets. The attachments are quite lengthy and available on the website. Staff has prepared the draft work plan as presented this evening. The notice does cite that failure to comply with the conditions of the waste discharge requirements could result in additional enforcement action, including issuance of an administrative civil liability or fine. The work plan requirements also obligate significant city staff time and financial resources. Thus, it is appropriate that the City Council review for approval. As efforts progress on further reducing I&I in the collection system, project funding will be utilized to assist in the most effective manner to accomplish this goal. Measure H, a city sales tax measure, as you know, was passed in November of 2010 and is dedicated to three things: the debt service for the wastewater treatment plant, future water and sewer only capital improvement projects, and a ratepayer discount. In November of 2016, Placerville voters passed Measure L, which is dedicated funding source for the replacement of pipes and roadway improvements throughout the city. Additionally, the city utilizes its sewer enterprise fund for regular ongoing maintenance and operation of the water treatment plant and the sewer collection system. The City Council adopts a capital improvement program budget annually for the preservation and improvement of city infrastructure. As a recommendation, staff is recommending that we acknowledge the receipt of the notice of violation. We approve the prepared treatment plant bypass work plan in response to the received notice of violation, and approve future commitment to continue reduction of inflow and infiltration within the City of Placerville sanitary sewer collection system. That concludes staff report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions right now?
Not right.
Not right now.
Not right now. Okay. Would the public like to comment?
Oh, 2 cents.
Ratepayer, Sue Rodman, ratepayer, resident, member of the Measure HL committee. And we did review the work plan at the last Measure HL committee and recommended that it be used. Would recommend it to the City Council. First, for my comments, I would like to recommend Rebecca Neves on an excellent and well-balanced work plan to address Placerville's Water Quality Board notice of violation. A notice of violation is serious stuff, you guys. Comes with big fines if we don't address it. But I noticed that the Measure H&L work plan has 68% of our funding allocated to fix the sewer collection system and address this notice of violation. It addresses the fact that last winter's storms brought rocks the size of basketballs into the treatment plant headworks of our $40 million wastewater treatment plant and doing some serious damage. And while FEMA may help us out on this one, we cannot count on their help again if we don't address the source of the problem. Just because last winter's storms were rated at 160 and 195 year events does not mean it's likely we are safe from another storm of that magnitude for another 160 years. Those ratings for storms are just statistics. And we could have another year like the last one next year, in 2 years, in 5 years, who knows? The prediction for storm intervals is very much like predicting earthquakes. You know you're going to get one, you do not know when. There have been several in fairly recent memory. I was here for the 1997-98 when water flowed 2 feet deep over the Chili Bar Bridge and US 50 had a major landslide that took months to clear. That's only 20 years ago, not even close to 160 years. Here are some things in the engineering staff report that really stood out to me. There are 50 miles of sewer collection pipes in Placerville. 50 miles. The 1999 smoke test found 207 leak points, with 177 of those, or 70%, in private mains and laterals with partial or complete pipe failure and I&I likely. Perhaps this is the source of the football rocks coming into the wastewater treatment plant headworks. The last 2 years had 229 sewer system repairs by our city crews, and it breaks down to 146, or 64% of those, in private mains and laterals, while only 83, or 36%, were in the city's public system. Talk about a code enforcement needs for public health and safety. There it is, guys. In the same 2 years, the city has completed 7 sewer projects at a cost of $1,127,000. The work plan dedicates $550,000 per year for the next 5 years, so $2.5 million towards sewer repairs just to address the violation notice. Then we still need to get the sewer pipes out of the creeks and do the rest of the projects to fix our 50 miles of sewer pipes and auxiliary facilities, valves, lift stations, etc. No cost was given for the mile of sewer pipe removed from Hangtown Creek in the Highway 50 project, but it was noted that the wet weather influent flow dropped substantially when that section of the sewer got out of the creek. Just think what last winter's overflow could have been if that mile of pipe had still been in the creek. Just think how much less it can be when we get all the sewer pipes out of the creeks. This report and work plan makes it very clear that we have massive amounts of work to do to keep historic Hangtown a beloved hometown for the people who call Placerville home. I urge you to give it your wholehearted support, both now and in the budget process.
Thank you, Sue. Okay. I don't imagine anyone else will want to comment, so let's bring it back here. Yeah?
Oh, I'd just like to thank you, Sue, for that excellent recap of our current situation, and I'd like to thank staff for your efforts on this. It represents an inordinate amount of time, no doubt. It was I found it to be a very comprehensive document addressing this grievous challenge that we have. So
Thank you, but it was truly a collaborative effort amongst every department.
absolutely, it would take every department to address this.
We're very
and
lucky
so,
to have this.
our entire staff would, no doubt, put their full weight behind it, and we really appreciate that. Also, this notice of violation is further proof, as Sue talked about, of the imperative need to continue to repair and maintain our underground infrastructure. And I'd like to, once again echo our thanks for our community for supporting Measure L, which will give us, additional funds to meet this really dire need. So, very grateful for that.
Yes. Comments, questions, comments? All right.
It's monumental.
It's a big deal. It rained a lot last year.
It did rain a lot.
This year, actually.
So
I am looking at the rain gauge information for that first part of February, and in a 5-day span, it rained an inch, 3 inches, 2 inches, and then a quarter inch. We kind of got off light, and then 3 1/3 inches of rain is pretty remarkable.
It was unbelievable.
It was absolutely, well, we were all here, so I guess we know that.
So we have to believe it, right?
We have to believe it. It's incredible, yes. Okay. Well, we have a lot of work to do. Thank you very much. I don't have any questions. I went through it all. It made perfect sense to me. We obviously have to do this.
We have to do
to
it.
keep the state of California off our rear ends. Plus, we have to do the right thing, too. We have to make sure that our house is in order and that we're doing this. And what'll be very interesting, I think, is as we go into the future, is to have those discussions about where exactly all of this is coming from. Because one of the major issues, too, and this was less about the sewers, but just about runoff, we all experienced how we would drive down the road and then somebody's driveway, which was their own private driveway, was just gushing down onto a street.
Right.
Rocks, debris, crud, getting into the drains, backing everything up. So, it's always a challenge when you have to go back out to the private citizens and say, hey, you're contributing to an issue and a problem. But we're going to have to structure a discussion where we can start to do that. And as we gather more data, which is going to be I think the first big step here with the sewer line, especially the main line, is to start to gather that data to say this is where the holes are, this is where the problem areas are. We already do have some information already, so we can build on that. And then that way we can have a more comprehensive and I think more mature conversation with the public about exactly what's happening and why. So anyway, good work all the way around.
So with that, I'd like to adopt a resolution acknowledging the receipt of the NOV, approve the prepared treatment plant bypass work plan,
That thing.
and approve future commitment to continue the reduction of the inflow and infiltration as
Yes.
recommended by staff.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Comment?
Yeah.
I'd just like to also echo my thanks to all the staff members that were involved in this effort. and of course also involved in it as it was actually unfolding week by
Yeah.
week, month by month.
Which reminds me,
Yes, it does remind you. And so I'm looking at the 160-year over that 60-day in precipitation total, and that being a 160-year event, knowing that I don't want to live here if there ever goes past that, because the town will literally float away. Mother Nature brought us very close to the brink of disaster several times.
there were actually 2 years of more rainfall. 72 and 78 inches of rain fell in the city.
But
One
it's
of them in
all
the
a
early
matter of
80s,
timing.
and then another.
Well,
one
and
later.
It's all a matter
also,
of
though,
the
I mean, there was
frequency.
the circumstances and the way it came,
Came,
you know,
right.
so that promoted a
buckets.
lot of, you know.
Yes.
Anyway, I'd just like to thank staff for everything that
Yes.
they've done. I want to let them know that when I saw this report, one of my concerns was the importance of making sure that we met these guidelines as the state has spelled them out to us, and the fact that we're operating very much close to the overload point, and the concern that we were going to be able to realistically make the progress that we need to make, and not risk a substantial fine in the future from the state if we fail to do so. So Cleve assures me that we can get this done, and so I really appreciate it all very much. It's very serious. We got a tremendous amount of work to do.
Yes, we do. Okay. 12.6, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for clean renewable energy bonds as an alternative financing for the solar project at the water reclamation facility. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As you know, previously the council approved the Johnson Controls contract, which put measures in place to work on financing for the project. The biggest portion of that, as you know, is the solar field that would be located at the wastewater treatment plant to fund electricity or produce electricity for that plant. When we met with you previously in March, we mentioned that we would be looking at the State Water Resources Revolving Fund program, which is very desirable if we can make it work, and we can qualify for that. As you recall, that is the program that would give us a 50% forgiveness of our loan, which makes it pencil out very well for the city. However, there are complications that may or may not work for us. So we've been looking at all our options. One of the other options we've looked at is a state energy efficiency grant. That one was mentioned to you during those meetings that we had with you regarding the project. We recently also looked at another program which is called the federal program, Clean Renewable Energy Bonds. And basically this is a similar program to some of these others in that it's a very beneficial or favorable interest rate. What happens under this program is you secure your financing, and the federal government actually buys down the interest rate or subsidizes the interest rate for the program, so it makes it very desirable. We estimate, and it all depends on how that turns out, but we estimate that our interest rate could be somewhere around 2%, which is a very good interest rate. We've provided some examples for you of how this program works. I could go through those. I think you can read it better than I can explain it. So I will leave that for you. One of the points with this program is once approved, we have 6 months to actually move forward with it. And so we just need to be aware of that. I want to make sure that we do not do that too quickly, get that approved too quickly, and then because I want to be able to fully explore the State Water Resources Board program first, because that is much more desirable than this one. We are still working on that one. We have a meeting. Pierre Rivas and I will be visiting the state board on Thursday to discuss that program and hopefully get a little closer to seeing what we will need to do to accomplish that. So, but what we're asking you to do is adopt the resolution allowing us to apply for this. However, I will have the final signature on that, so I will delay that if necessary to make sure that we don't do it too soon. We have learned that recently there have been some of these applications that have been approved in as short as 5 days. So it could be approved very quickly. So we need to be aware of that and watch that and make sure that we apply it at the right time. So with that, I will answer any questions you may have on this, and we'll move forward.
Okay, do we have any questions on this? No. No? Nope, nope, nope. Would you like to comment on this? Okay.
Do we have a mic? Yes. Sue Rodman, Placerville resident. And I'm quite concerned. This is the second financing option for this solar field at the wastewater treatment plant that we've been told about. However, I don't see a comparison between this renewable energy bonds option and the state water resources revolving fund. The SRF has 50% forgiveness, which brings a $3 million project effectively down to $1.5 million. So how does the CREB option compare? It wasn't clear to me from the staff report. It just can save our city some money, but how much? Can it match that 50%? 20%? 10%? Without a clear comparison, I don't see how we could decide. And it bothers me that Johnson Controls does not disclose their profit in their proposals. They don't work for free, so what is their cut? My analysis is that the SRF 50% forgiveness is the only rational funding option that reduces that 14-year payback to a positive return in any acceptable length of time. At 14 years to a positive return for other financing, this solar field is really not an investment that's wise for Placerville. Placerville has too many other essential needs to go chasing a non-essential solar field. I know that solar is the cool stuff right now, but it's not an essential city service. Let's be responsible to our residents and ratepayers first. Let's fix our wastewater sewer collection system with its notice of violation first. Let's get our sewer pipes out of our creeks. Let's fix our leaking drinking water system first. Let's repair our disintegrating roads first. Let's take care of our recreation facilities first. In other words, let's put first things first. That may not be the flashy, sexy project, but essential services are why city residents voted for Measure H and why they voted for Measure L. Please listen to our city voters and do the needs before the cool stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, let me respond to that briefly. We would not do this project if it is not saving us money.
Right.
This will be coming back to you. This is an alternative to the SRF fund. I guarantee you, I have looked at this, and it will save us money over about 15 years of the project.
Right.
If it were not doing that, we would not be doing it. It's not something that we were looking at as quote Ms. Rodman mentioned, as a glamorous project or whatever. This is a project we're doing to save us money on our power costs, so that we can put more money into fixing pipes and et cetera, those essential needs that you're referring to. That's the goal of this project. It is not to look good or anything else other than that. And this project, even under this, I agree 100%. This is not near as good in terms of the financing as the SRF loan, but it still pencils out well for the city in providing net benefit and net proceeds that we can put back into the plant and into other projects. So.
My understanding too was because it had the battery backup thing that it might actually help in some emergency circumstances with power outages at the plant, even though we have generators and whatnot to run that. Or am I wrong about that?
No,
Okay.
At one point they looked at the battery backup, but they're not really looking at that
anymore.
This will
Okay,
be net
that's fine.
metering. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. Okay.
And Cleve, just to reiterate for those folks that may be watching at home, will the solar project, divert any funds from critical repair projects that we need to do within our city?
It will not. This is designed to be self-funded through the savings in power costs. I will tell you, I need to let you know that we're working on, if we ended up going with this option. Now, understand, this will all come back to you. All of these options will come back to you to make the final decision. This particular item showed that in the first year, there would actually be a negative of $68,000. However, in the second year, it turns positive about $73,000, so you've made that up. So there would be that to consider. Does that stop you from being able to do a project in that first year because you're taking that $68,000 out? All of that is something we'll have to consider when we bring back the final financing option.
And do we have a pretty good feeling that the other financing option is a strong likelihood?
We do. We had some concerns in our last phone call with them regarding the environmental requirements, and that's why we're going down to meet with them this week to see if we can hammer that out and make sure that it is something that is feasible and will work for us.
Well, it sounds like you're taking a very thoughtful, approach to this, getting all the options, and that makes sense. Appreciate the legwork on that.
Any other comments or questions?
No,
Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
I'll move the staff recommendation.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
And again, just to reiterate, this is an option that will be put together and brought back to the council for full public review, council review, to see if it does truly pencil out.
Due diligence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Council reports from other agency meetings. Transit.
Well, we didn't have a meeting, but I did go out there Saturday morning and attend their annual awards meeting
very
and
good.
helped hand out awards to all our wonderful drivers. And
Cool.
then I sat in for some of the meeting, and it was really interesting to hear.
Cool. Transportation Commission, we have a meeting next week. How are things in the exciting world of LAFCO?
LAFCO meets tomorrow, and we're going to miss it because of the budget workshop.
Oh.
I've sent in our apologies for not being able
okay.
to attend.
SACOG.
Transportation, I want to tell you, they had their bicycle,
I'm
the
sorry.
transportation department had the bicycle kickoff
Oh, you mean
down at the county where
Right,
all the bike riders and stuff. So
That was
I helped them hand out sandwiches and stuff. It was today.
this morning? Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
I just handed
You
out
are
stuff.
something. Boy, I'll tell you. Okay. SACOG, we had a meeting. The kind of the best part of what?
No, go ahead.
I'm
waiting.
sorry, you looked at me like I didn't really have a meeting. I was making this up.
No.
Okay.
I would never think
We actually had a meeting. There was nothing much to report. I mean, they came back from cap to cap and talked about a bunch of stuff, which probably will never happen. And then,
well, there's that.
and further issues on SB. Well, now it's I guess it's still SB1. We'll refer to it as SB1. They're still working through it. Their CTC is now starting to put together the rulemaking. In fact, we got some information about that from Woody. It was all very good. And then I guess the big thing, it really has nothing to do with us, was they rolled out their bike share program, kind of a pilot program of the bike share program. They rolled that out last week, so that was interesting. They're very excited about that. So that was basically it for SACOG, nothing else. SEDCORP.
Again,
Yeah,
they're going to have their last meeting, and I can't go because we have other meetings.
The
So.
continuing story.
But this is it.
Okay, are you sure?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
pretty. Yeah.
The 2x2?
No meeting.
Okay, great. Do we have any requests for future agenda items?
I do have something for council consideration. I know. No, we all received an email, I believe, this week from the city of Bakersfield, a council member in Bakersfield, asking us to consider joining 132 other California cities and over 650 cities and counties across the United States, adopting our nation's motto in our council chambers or in our city hall, which is "In God We Trust." It was adopted in 1956 as our nation's motto. It is on all our coins and in all our money, certainly, and on all the oaths we take. So I just ask if, because we received an official request.
Could you I didn't get it.
You didn't receive it?
I got it.
I thought they sent it to all council members. I didn't look at the list, actually. Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I mean, I got it from, somebody forwarded it to me. I know I got it.
And like I said, over 132 California cities and counties have joined on this. So just wanted to see if we wanted to consider it at a future council meeting.
I think our city clerk may have been the source of that. Maybe
Yes.
she can.
I
Okay.
sent it to all city council members with the cityofplacerville.org email.
Ah, there you go, right there. You got to look at your other
I
email.
don't have city, I don't have that. I don't
Oh.
have my new address.
Ah.
No one said you had secrets. Actually, I would like to correct one thing. Nobody takes an oath of office that has the words God in it in this country. In fact, if you go to about the 9th or 10th part of the Constitution, it actually forbids you from doing that.
Actually, I meant our judicial, so help me God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
which is
different,
kind of an add-on
Different,
thing.
so.
Okay. Yeah, I don't. I personally, this is going to sound heretical in this part of the world. I really don't think I would like to even talk about this, but that's my own personal opinion. I think we do just fine around here without it. But if I think it would be a nice, maybe a conversation for the community to have, because my guess is a lot of people would weigh in on that from all sorts of different directions, like much of these other things, and that I would be more than happy to do. Yeah. Okay, but anyway, but a discussion would be fine. I don't want to truncate discussion just because I'm not too thrilled with the idea, but because I encourage it, and maybe we'll find out that there's a lot of folks that would actually really like it. But okay, but we can talk some more. See how we want to do that. Okay, city manager and staff report.
Man, this is
The one that's on here first, Pierre.
awesome.
Oh, the chickens.
The chickens.
I am. Yes, go ahead.
Powell report.
If the council recalls, following the adoption of our chicken regulating ordinance, the council wanted staff to report back in 3 months, and then in 6 months, and then in a year. So this is the second report. If you remember the first report we gave after 3 months, we received 0 complaints. This time we received 1 complaint. We had one neighbor complaining about a chicken coop that was too close to the property line. So staff checked it out. It turns out that this chicken coop is vacant. There hasn't been any chickens in the coop since 2014. But it was the chickens flew the coop. So
He did this
the coop is in violation. It's within the setback. The property has just recently changed ownership, and the new owner is going to move the chicken coop, and they intend on putting chickens in the chicken coop.
So we left.
And that concludes staff's report on chickens.
I just want to say that I am pleased to be proven wrong. I thought there might be some problems, but apparently, except for abandoned chicken coops, things seem to be going well with our chickens. So I am pleasantly surprised, and I'm willing to eat.
I would like to ask Mr.
Crow. I know. I'm sorry.
Pierre, in this particular instance, does animal control go out and check that for you, or did one of our staff members have to go?
We did.
We did that. Okay, just curious. Because animal control is out there doing their thing, but
Yeah, this particular complaint was about a structure rather than the actual
Okay,
animals.
So you okay? Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, okay.
Thank you.
Upcoming items besides.
Mayor,
I'm sorry.
Just
Oh,
quickly,
wait.
if I could, one more item I wanted to mention. I've talked to a couple of you about the possibility of coming back with a study session, workshop, whatever, and doing a review of our council member handbook. You recall that? I just wanted to confirm that you would like to see that done.
I am in big favor of that.
Do we want to make that a future agenda item?
Do you want to do it as an agenda item, or would you like to do it as
I'd
a
rather
special
workshop. I
meeting?
want to talk about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we will look at some potential times when we can do that, and
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
We'll probably try to get through the budget first.
Yes,
Okay,
let's do
good
that
idea.
first.
Good idea.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Anything else? That's all? Okay. Items tentatively scheduled for the next regularly scheduled city council meeting of June 13th, 2017 include hazardous tree removal plan, local 39 side letter, appoint a voting delegate for League of California Cities annual conference, consider cancellation of the July 25th, 2017 regular city council meeting, Eagle Scout project, Western Placerville Interchange Caltrans freeway maintenance agreement, landscape and lighting maintenance district levy. Wow.
When is the
That is exciting. What?
when is the League of California Cities conference?
It's in September.
September.
It's in September.
And where is it going to be?
Sacramento,
Is it
which
Yeah,
is fantastic.
So we can all go.
Yeah, looking
ooh,
forward to that.
ooh. Yes, we can all go. Yeah, no, that's very exciting.
I'm going to tell you, those Wendy and I went last
yeah,
year, or year before last,
Yeah.
in San Jose. It was well worth it.
Yeah.
Those are great meetings.
They
we
do.
should all
Absolutely.
Go to
They
Yeah,
have,
it's well
they
worth
have
it.
good stuff. The league has good stuff. Okay. Oh no, those things are usually pretty well done. Okay, that's it. So tomorrow we will adjourn to tomorrow for our budget workshop. Dave's gone.
He's been gone.
He'll be
You
back
just
tomorrow.
Noticing his absence?
He asked for permission to prepare for the
Oh, I see. Okay, great. Yes, well, granted. Okay, let's go. All right.